Hello, Leo, radiant child of the sun. If you're watching this right now, it's not by accident. This is your third and final sign, the one the universe, or perhaps even God, saved just for you. Let me ask you something right up front. Have you been seeing repeating numbers? Have you felt like something, or someone, is calling you, even if you can't explain why? Have certain memories, emotions, or even people started showing up again, almost as if life was giving you a second chance, or one last test? If the answer is yes to even one of those questions, then this message isn't just another horoscope. This is a direct call from your higher self, a sacred invitation to listen closer. Something big is shifting, Leo. And the universe needs your full attention now more than ever. At Eternal Mindfulness, we don't just read horoscopes, we translate the whispers of the cosmos into messages your soul has been waiting for. And you, dear Leo, didn't land on this video by chance. There's a deeper order at play, one that's guiding you toward healing, clarity, and divine timing. Right now, you're being asked to trust that what you're feeling isn't random. Your intuition, that fiery, lion-hearted knowing, is not just accurate. It's sacred. And for the next few minutes, I invite you to stay fully present, because what's coming may very well shift your inner world in a way you never expected. But before we dive into this cosmic download, I want to pause and say something from the heart. Let me take a moment to express my deepest gratitude, not just for your view, but for your energy. Every like, every comment, every time you hit that subscribe button, it brings you closer into our spiritual family here at Eternal Mindfulness. It helps this sacred space grow. And it gives us the opportunity to keep sharing messages that aren't just mystical, but transformative. So thank you. Truly. From my soul to yours. And believe me when I say this, Leo, you're going to want to stay with me until the very end of this message. Because what the universe is about to reveal to you, it's more than just guidance. It's a gift. A mirror. A breakthrough. And yes, a destiny long overdue. Now let's get interactive. If you're already feeling the energy shift, comment below with an angel number you've been seeing lately. 111 for new beginnings. For 44 for protection. 777 for divine miracles. Whatever number your soul connects with, drop it below. That's your signal back to the universe that you're listening and ready to receive. So take a deep breath with me. Feel the energy settle. And ask yourself, what did the universe, or maybe even Taurus season itself, stir within you, to bring you here, to this very moment? Let's begin. There are moments when the sky doesn't just shift above us, it stirs something within us. What's unfolding between May 9th and 10th is not just another astrological event. It's a convergence of energies, a rare meeting between the sun, your ruling star, the very source of your identity, and Pluto, the slow-moving planet of deep transformation. For Leo, this alignment doesn't arrive gently. It arrives like a quiet wave at first, but one that carries the power to reshape the shoreline of your life. It's not loud. It doesn't demand drama. But it does require your attention, your honesty, and your willingness to soften into change. This alignment is what some astrologers might call a phoenix gate, a cosmic threshold that asks you to release an outdated version of yourself. Not with force. Not with regret. But with reverence. Because the version of you that's ready to emerge is stronger, wiser, and more aligned with your inner truth. And even though the idea of rebirth often sounds grand or spiritual, the truth is far more grounded. It's in the small decisions. The courage to finally say no. The clarity to walk away from something you've outgrown. The grace to begin again. You might be feeling it already, a kind of restlessness, a discomfort that doesn't quite have a name. Or maybe it's more like a tightness in the chest every time you think of a choice you've been putting off. That's not weakness. That's your internal compass realigning. Sometimes when life starts to feel heavy, it's not because you're failing. It's because you're holding on to something that no longer matches the frequency of your becoming. This moment is a reminder, you don't have to shatter in order to shift. You don't need chaos to move forward. A quiet decision made with clarity can have more impact than any dramatic leap. In the language of color and vibration, the energy around you right now resonates with metallic orange, a shade of grounded power, of momentum building beneath the surface. Alongside it, soft lavender suggests a gentle invitation to trust your own intuition. These colors don't scream for attention, they hum with purpose. Together, they symbolize the balance you're learning to master, courage without control, openness without overexposure. Numerologically, the number 3 holds space for you during this cycle. It's the number of creative birth, of new beginnings not rushed into existence, but cultivated with intention. In your chart, this may show up as a new idea rising to the surface, one you've dismissed before. Or perhaps a conversation you've avoided is ready to happen, not to fix the past, but to clear the path forward. You don't have to have every detail figured out to begin. You just have to begin. There is a teaching, one not tied to any religion, but to the stillness of experience, that says the seed does not resist the soil. It surrenders to darkness in order to sprout. In the same way, you're not being asked to do more or fix yourself. You're being invited to soften, to let go of what you think should happen, and instead listen to what life is already trying to grow through you. There's no deadline. There's only alignment. So if you've been waiting for a sign to move, this is it. If you've been asking for permission to let go of the role you no longer want to play, the pressure you've carried, the self-image that no longer fits, this cosmic opening is your answer. You don't need a grand plan. Just a quiet yes. The universe, as always, will meet you where you are, and carry you the rest of the way. Sometimes the answers we seek outside are simply echoes of truths we've already known within. In this moment of deep energetic alignment, the presence of the High Priestess in your reading is a gentle but powerful reminder that you already possess the insight you're searching for. She sits between two worlds, the known and the unknown, not as a barrier, but as a bridge. You don't need more noise, more proof, or more validation. What you need is stillness. A willingness to listen. A kind of trust that doesn't beg for clarity but honors the quiet knowing that's been with you all along. This is the wisdom that comes when you stop trying to be right and start allowing yourself to be real. Right now, your intuition is not only activated, it's alive and leading. But intuition doesn't shout. It whispers. It feels like a tug in your chest when you're about to say yes to something that should be a no. It feels like hesitation in the middle of a moment that everyone else tells you is perfect. It feels like peace after you make the decision you were scared of, and that peace is your confirmation. What you're sensing is not confusion. It's clarity that hasn't yet been put into words. Ace of Pentacles brings something more tangible. It's an invitation from the physical world to begin again, to plant a seed that can truly grow this time. But here's the truth, beginnings rarely feel like victory laps. They often feel like small, uncertain steps. Like walking barefoot on a road you haven't seen before. The only thing this card asks is that you commit to the start. Not to the outcome. Not to how long it'll take. Just the beginning. And for many Leos, this may be connected to your finances, your career path, or your sense of stability. It may arrive as a new offer, a surprising idea, or even a seemingly simple decision that changes the tone of everything that follows. But this opportunity is not loud. It won't force you. You must meet it halfway, with intention. And then there's justice, the card of balance, of cause and effect, of consequence that doesn't punish but restores. It arrives when you're being called to make a decision rooted not in fear, but in truth. Sometimes the most honest choice is also the most difficult one. Especially when that truth means leaving behind a version of yourself, or a relationship, that no longer aligns with who you're becoming. But true balance isn't about holding on to both ends. It's about choosing what supports your wholeness and releasing what fractures it. Justice reminds us that growth often requires loss, but not all loss is a wound. Sometimes, it's freedom. There is a quiet practice, often passed down without words, that teaches us to let go without resistance. That teaches us that clinging is the root of sorrow, not because the object of our attachment is bad, but because our grasping blinds us to the path ahead. When you release something with awareness, you don't lose it, you simply return it to where it belongs. And in doing so, you allow your hands to open again, ready to receive something new. Ask yourself gently, what am I still holding on to that has already let go of me? What identity, expectation, or outdated truth is standing between me and the life I'm ready to live? You don't need to answer it all today. You just need to be willing to ask. And that willingness, that soft, steady curiosity, is the real magic. Because in that space, the energy begins to shift. The door that felt sealed begins to creak open. And with even the slightest movement of trust, your next chapter begins, not with fireworks, but with a breath. Love, at its most honest, is not about perfection. It's about presence. It's about whether we truly feel seen, not just observed. Whether our voice is heard for what it means, not just what it says. Right now, under the energy of this current alignment, something old may be circling back, not to test your strength, but to reflect your growth. Whether it's a person from your past, a memory that resurfaces, or even a new opportunity wrapped in a familiar feeling, you're being invited to look deeper than your initial reaction. To ask, am I choosing from fear, or from clarity? We often think love is something that happens to us, that we fall into it, stumble into connection, or hope it stays if we're lucky. But love, the kind that nourishes, begins with an internal stance. One of willingness. One of openness. It asks, Can I meet this person, or myself, without armor, without a script, without performing the version I think they want? And this is especially important for Leo, a sign born under the radiance of the sun. You shine naturally, but sometimes that light becomes a mask, a way to protect the more tender parts beneath. These days, you may be asked to show not just your warmth, but your vulnerability. If someone reappears now, don't rush to conclusions. Instead, pause. Feel into your body's response. Is there a lightness, or a tightening? Do they feel like a mirror for who you are now, or an anchor to who you used to be? Every return is not a reconciliation. Some are reminders. Some are releases. And others are renewals. You'll know which one it is, not by what they say, but by how your energy shifts in their presence. For those already in relationships, this period encourages more than communication, it encourages communion. That subtle, deeper kind of dialogue where two people don't just exchange words, but create space for each other's truth. Sometimes this means choosing silence over reaction. Sometimes it means asking not, how can I fix this, but what are you really feeling underneath? Conflict doesn't destroy intimacy. Avoidance does. The goal is not to win. It's to understand. And in understanding, we find closeness again. If you're single, this is not about rushing into love just to escape loneliness. It's about dismantling the belief that you need to be more, or less, to be loved. The truth is, worthiness isn't earned. It's remembered. So the work now is internal. It's about softening the edges you've sharpened in self-defense. About trusting that you don't need to explain your heart for it to be held. When the right connection appears, it won't require translation. It will speak your soul's language, fluently, effortlessly. There is a teaching that says, when the heart is ready, the beloved appears. Not because they were missing, but because you finally stopped guarding the door. This moment in your journey is less about seeking and more about allowing. Less about pursuit and more about receptivity. When you stop performing for love, you become available to it, in its rawest, most honest form. Number 6 surrounds you now. The number of harmony, of healing, of the Sacred Heart. It calls you back to center, back to softness. Let this be your anchor. You are not here to chase. You are here to open. And when you do, love doesn't just find you. It recognizes you. As if it had been waiting all along. When we talk about purpose, we often imagine it arriving with clarity, with a clear yes from the universe or a loud epiphany that changes everything. But more often than not, purpose reveals itself through contrast, through the slow-growing discomfort of staying in a place that no longer reflects who we are. And for Leo, a sign born to lead with heart and courage, remaining in situations that dim your inner light eventually takes a toll not just on your creativity, but on your sense of worth. This moment, astrologically speaking, is asking you to step into greater responsibility, not just in the outer world, but within yourself. The sun, your ruling force, continues to illuminate the truth of your path, and Pluto's influence whispers quietly in the background, transform or be transformed. If you've been tolerating work that feels stagnant or misaligned, know that discomfort is no longer a signal to endure, it's an invitation to realign. There is a distinct difference between patience and avoidance. Patience allows growth to ripen. Avoidance delays the inevitable. If you've been waiting for a sign to shift, to pivot, or to claim your next chapter, consider this your moment of confirmation. But moving forward doesn't mean rushing. It means becoming honest. Sometimes, the most courageous thing you can do is admit what's no longer working, and allow space for something new to arise, even if the next step feels small or uncertain. When it comes to money and material security, this is a time for conscious awareness. Abundance doesn't respond well to pressure, but it thrives in systems that respect structure. Now is not the season for impulsive leaps or high-risk moves. Instead, it's about honoring your resources as sacred, your time, your energy, your money. Review your finances with intention, not fear. Notice where your spending reflects anxiety instead of alignment. Simplify where you can. Not out of lack, but from the quiet understanding that true security is built through mindful presence. Building a small reserve, even if it's modest, sends a powerful message to both your subconscious and the energetic field around you, that you believe in your future enough to prepare for it. That you deserve stability, not just excitement. And that you are no longer available for cycles of scarcity masked as just getting by. Tarot speaks clearly here. The seeds you've planted are ready to bear fruit, but only if you're willing to walk out into the field and harvest. Effort matters. Not the kind that exhausts you, but the kind that aligns action with values. You don't have to hustle harder. You have to move smarter. You have to remember that your gifts, when used with integrity, are not just helpful, they're needed. There is an ancient principle that reminds us, the way you do anything is the way you do everything. If you bring mindfulness to how you earn, how you spend, and how you show up in your work, that energy reverberates across your entire life. It creates harmony where chaos once ruled. It replaces urgency with clarity. You're not being asked to have all the answers today. But you are being asked to choose, to no longer sit on the edge of indecision pretending that comfort is the same as safety. Your life will expand the moment you stop outsourcing your power and start reclaiming your role as the author of your own path. Your leadership is not something you have to earn. It's something you were born with. And now, the world is asking you to use it, not just for success, but for alignment. Not just for wealth, but for meaning. There are times when the body seems fine, the schedule is manageable, and sleep comes easily, yet the tiredness lingers. It's a fatigue that doesn't live in the muscles or behind the eyes, but in the spaces deeper than we often pay attention to. If you felt like no amount of rest is restoring you, Leo, it may not be rest you're lacking, but resonance. Your spirit might be stretching itself too thin, pulled in directions that no longer match the frequency of who you've become. And that dissonance, though quiet, is exhausting. As a fire sign ruled by the sun, your energy is often bright, magnetic, and naturally expressive. But that brilliance can become a burden when it's constantly projected outward, when you're always on, always performing strength. There is a quiet truth that many who shine forget: not every form of strength is visible. Sometimes, the most powerful thing you can do is step away from the noise and simply breathe, not to achieve calm, but to remember that it's your birthright. Taking care of the body is not a task, but a ritual of return. Every cup of warm water in the morning, especially with a slice of ginger, is more than hydration, it's a gesture of presence. Ginger, with its subtle fire, supports your digestive system and gently awakens your core, offering a kind of grounded alertness that coffee can't mimic. In fact, pausing caffeine for just 2 days can help reset your nervous system, especially if you've been running on artificial energy rather than true vitality. Movement is essential, but not the rushed, goal-driven kind. A slow walk without music, just you, the trees, and the wind, allows your senses to realign. When you walk with full awareness, your mind begins to match the pace of your breath. The thoughts that once raced begin to quiet. You return to your own rhythm. And in that space, the answers you've been seeking often rise without effort. Even just 3 minutes of intentional breath work in the morning can change the quality of your entire day. When the breath deepens, the brain waves soften. Your system exits survival mode. Your clarity returns. It's like sweeping dust off a mirror. What you see isn't new, it's just no longer hidden. You don't need elaborate rituals or long hours of meditation. You need consistency, kindness, and the willingness to begin again each day, even if it's only for a few minutes. In moments when your energy feels scattered, scents can act as anchors. Lavender calms. Rosemary clears. Sweet orange lifts the spirit with gentleness. These aren't magic. They are tools that remind the body it's safe, that you're here, that all is not lost. Combined with nourishing foods like dark leafy greens, omega-rich flax seeds, and the antioxidant power of purple berries, your nervous system receives the support it often doesn't get in our overstimulated world. And through it all, Leo, remember this: you don't have to force your way through fatigue. You don't have to roar to prove your resilience. Sometimes, your only job is to exhale, deeply, fully, without holding back, and let the tension melt into the ground beneath you. Because when you stop trying so hard to be strong, you make space for the kind of strength that doesn't come from effort, but from trust. Trust that when you return to your center, everything else finds its balance around you. Leo, if you're still here, then know this: it's not a coincidence, it's a confirmation. You've stayed through the whispers of your intuition, the stirring of your soul, and the quiet moments where something in you said, "This was meant for me." And it was. Every message you've heard today wasn't just astrology. It wasn't just tarot. It was a mirror, reflecting back your courage, your growth, and your readiness to choose differently. Because while signs may guide us, only decisions move us. A sign is a door. A choice is the step through. You might have noticed it already: the repeating numbers, the recurring dreams, the conversations that seem to arrive at the perfect time. You felt the urge to change something, to speak something, to leave something behind. That's not wishful thinking. That's your inner world rearranging itself to prepare for a new version of your reality. But here's the part many forget: the universe can send you every signal in existence, but it can't make the move for you. That's yours. That's where your power lies, in the moment you stop doubting what you know deep down and start trusting that knowing enough to act on it. So I want to ask you, gently but clearly: will you walk through this door now, or wait for one more sign, one more nudge, one more reason to believe you're ready? What if you already are? Comment below with the angel number that's been finding you lately: 555 for change, 111 for new beginnings, 777 for divine miracles, or simply share what you're ready to step into. Let your voice be heard not just by me, but by the energy that brought you here in the first place. And if something in this video stirred something real in you, please do me one small favor that means more than you know. Hit like, subscribe, and share this with someone who may also be waiting for their sign. The more we share the message, the more the universe responds, not just to us, but through us. What you give, it multiplies. Thank you, from the bottom of my heart, for spending these sacred minutes with me here on Eternal Mindfulness. Your presence, your openness, your courage to reflect, that's what makes this space more than just a video. It makes it a moment of transformation. And if someday, next week, next month, or even next year, another video shows up unexpectedly on your screen and gives you that same deep feeling again, don't brush it off. Don't say, "What a coincidence." Because maybe, just maybe, it won't be the third time the universe speaks to you. It will be the first time you're truly ready to listen. You are the sign. And the moment to act is now.